Hello all, welcome back to Bosco Campus Vision. So in today's session, we'll be dealing with news stories and its features. Before getting along with the term news stories, let's try and define the term news. The term news is a complex one and therefore cannot be given a narrow definition. It is an account of what is happening around us. It may involve details about current events, ongoing projects, or plans for the future. And the definition of news differs from person to person. So, you consider George Morris. He considers news as history in a hurry. Another one, Turner Catledge, considers news as anything that you did not know yesterday. So any information that you did not know yesterday is considered as a news according to Turner Catledge. And according to Charles A. Dana, news is anything that will make people talk. So anything that has the capacity, that has the capability to make people talk, it is considered as news as per Charles A. Dana. Considering all these statements, we can say that we cannot narrow it down to a single definition. News, it has diversified objectives. It's a complex one. Okay. Next. News stories are written to inform the reader about a particular event or incident. So the news stories, or generally the reports, are written to inform the reader about a particular event or an incident. News stories are accepted or rejected at the newsroom based on their news value. The reports that the journalist or the reporter bring in, they are accepted or rejected at the newsroom based on their news value. So, what are the features that determine this news value? That we shall have a look in the features of news stories. Moving on to the features of news stories. The first and foremost feature of news story is its relevance. How relevant is the story to the target audience? For example, an earthquake in India is not of much interest to readers in California. The closer the event takes place to the intended audience, the more important it is. This is why a big local or regional story might not make the national news. So, relevance is all about understanding the impact of the story and how it can connect to the intended audience. That is relevance. The next feature is timeliness. When did it happen? Timing is extremely important in today's 24 hours news cycle. Recent events or events in the making are most likely to lead the news. So the newspapers as well as the news channels, they most probably focus on recent events and the events that are in the making, because it has news value, like when did it happen. That is another newsworthiness or another news value. The next one is importance or impact or consequence. How many people will the event impact? The greater the number, the more important the story becomes. So that is importance. The next one is its prominence. The actions of prominent people are much more likely to make the headlines. Politicians, entertainers, and athletes are considered more newsworthy. For example, if someone throws a shoe at another person, it is probably not news. But if someone throws a shoe at the president of the US, it will be the news for weeks. So, prominence is all about the actions of prominent people, or the actions that relate to prominent people, and it is considered as having more news value. So, it is another feature of news stories, that is prominence. And the next feature is predictability. Certain events such as elections, major sporting events, and award announcements happen on a predictable schedule. As the event draws closer, it gains news value. The next one is continuity. Some events such as war, elections, protests, and strikes require continuing coverage. These events are likely to remain in the news for a long time, although not always as the lead story. So continuity is also another feature of the news stories, and the news stories that are showed or covered continuously, they might not always be the lead story. Its prominence or its news value gradually decreases. The next one is human interest stories, and such stories always have a wide readership. For example, the story of a person overcoming great odds to reach his or her goal appeals to the readers. So, that is human interest stories, they have wide readership. The next one is negativity. Editors deem bad news more newsworthy than good news. Editors generally feel that conflict is more newsworthy than peace. So, negativity is another factor that determines the news value of a news report. And the editors, they think that bad news are more newsworthy than good news. The next one is the unusual. Strange stories are likely to find their way into the news. It is best expressed through a great journalistic aphorism that when a dog bites a man, that's not an interesting story. It happens all the time. But if a man bites a dog, then that's news. So that is the element of unusual. So, for a newspaper report, they always look for the unusual. Like, is there anything unexpected about this story? And that is also another news value. So, these are the major features of news stories. That's all for today. And as assignment, write down what are news stories and note down the features of news stories. Thank you and have a nice day.